right, everybody. Welcome to Ossont&Battery. I'm Aaron Ossont, your host. And this episode, I have on a really special guest from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Eric Kaplan from Thunderbird Divine. All right.
Yeah, that was my round of applause.
Nice. So welcome to the show. I really appreciate you coming on, my friend.
It is my pleasure to be here.
Nice. So, first thing I wanted to ask you about is how did Thunderbird Divine get started? My first exposure to you guys, I believe, was in 2019. I saw you at the New England Stoner and Doom Fest up in Jewett City. And when I saw you live, I was like, holy shit, this band is something else. So, how did you start Thunderbird Divine?
Thunderbird Divine came to be. I was in a band for many years called Wizard Eye, and we played around Philly. We played up and down the coast, and we got a nice reputation. And one of the other bands from Philly that we played with a lot was a band called Skeleton Hands. And Wizard Eye eventually folded, as did Skeleton Hands. And so they were like a power trio with a singer, and I was like a vocalist who played guitar. And I was trying to think if I could put something else together. I reached out to their drummer, Mike, because he was the one I actually knew from that band. And we started talking about putting something new together. And I was like, so what are you doing now? And he's like, I'm still jamming with the Skeleton Hands guys. We just don't have a singer. I was like, well, wouldn't it make sense if we'd like sort of combined our forces and we'd have like two guitar players, and we basically made a whole band,
Nice.
with me. It started with those guys. And we definitely sort of had it in mind that we were, at least I did anyway, that we would probably do something that would be a little bit different from what we'd done in the past, in terms of like our own individual bands. And like Wizard Eye was sort of like very progressive doom, I guess you'd call it, and Skeleton Hands had a sort of very southern swing kind of thing going on. And I think what we both sort of wanted to do was not just be limited by one particular kind of thing. So we all love riffs. We all love like big guitars and stuff like that. But I guess we wanted our sound to be a little bit different from either one of those two bands, sort of like make something that maybe is greater than the sum of its parts. So we started doing that in about 2017, and here we are still today.
Awesome. And I mean, and that's definitely one thing is, like you said, you guys don't limit yourself as a band. It seems like almost anything's possible. So next thing I wanted to touch on, what are some of the influences Thunderbird Divine? Is it like something like the most stuff we expect, like Sabbath, or is there also a lot of other things we wouldn't expect in there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say because at present, the four of us, our combination of influences is pretty diverse. Like I think I'm probably the most stoner doom guy in the group, and that's only just from experience. But like, that's not really my primary focus on listening. I really like a lot of different things. It's pretty diverse. I mean, I'm always going to love like something with a good groove and a heavy guitar, but like, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, I'm a big fan of old Santana, um, War, Hendrix, classic rock stuff. Um, and then singer songwritery stuff like Joni Mitchell, and it's pretty out there. I like country. I really like a lot of different kinds of music. It all puts me in a different. It all could have put you in a different mind frame. So I'm down with it to all be different stuff. And our drummer is like a classic rock guy, sort of more punk rock guy that came up through rock and roll and Led Zeppelin and that kind of stuff. Our bass player, I always tease him about it because he comes from more of an emo background. So he played, I mean, like that whole like super melodic stuff and like everything's super crispy and tight. And like that's kind of like been what he's really into. But again, like these guys are all pretty diverse. And our keyboard player, um, he's a wild card. You never know what you're going to get out of him. Anything from ska to klezmer, uh, to surf and all that kind of stuff. And he's equally well sort of well read in each of all of the genres, you know. So I think that's probably part of why like what we're doing is like a little bit weird, I guess, for some folks.
And that's one thing like I enjoy is like the mix of like, like the eclectic influences because as a listener, I love heavy music, but I also listen to other stuff too. Some of the stuff I've been listening to lately is like Gil Scott Heron and Warren Zevon, which is two totally different things, but both equally great.
Absolutely, those both of those things, both of those artists are fantastic in my book. Absolutely. Like, yeah, I listen to a lot of old Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins, um, the Ohio Players. So like, yeah, old funky stuff definitely like turns me on. Like when you said Joe Scott Heron, immediately made me think, you know, of uh, so many people, Curtis Mayfield,
Yeah.
um, and like old R&B. I'm a little bit older than you, so I mean I kind of grew up with my parents listening to the Temptations and things like that. So that has all been like a big influence on me, and it all just kind of goes in there and dances around with each other, And so I mean it's fun though. We have a good time with it, I think it's for all of us like the idea of like just sort of being free to like throw whatever idea out there and we try to work it in if it makes sense. If it doesn't, we let it go. None of us are too precious with anything we come up with. Here's an idea, and if everyone's like, that ain't it, we go, all right, let's try another thing. You know,
That's good.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody gets their feelings hurt.
I mean, you got to be. It's art, right? You got to kind of be. You got to fight for what you like, but at the same time, it's like it's collaboration. It's one of my favorite things about doing it is the collaboration and getting uh, everybody's flavor in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, all those influences, I'm assuming, have culminated in this thing right here, the
Yes.
latest record, Little Wars. And this is, I've been listening to this a lot since I bought it at the show.
Which
And
one
I
did
went
you get?
from,
Did you get the marble one or did you get the splatter?
I got the marbled one.
Nice. Right on. That's pretty cool
And
looking.
I mean, it's just got so many different influences, so many different instruments on there. Um, have you always wanted to use different instruments with Thunderbird Divine? Because I noticed there was theremin on there, electric sitar, I think, like all sorts of different crazy stuff, and it just sounds great. So how did you decide to use all that stuff?
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment about how it sounds. Um, I think from the start with this band, we embraced the idea of making records that stand by themselves as records, right? And so I learned from a good friend of mine who's since passed, who worked with us on the first record. Our first record is called Magnasonic, and it came out, I think, in 2019. And my good friend LD that I worked with, he worked on a production level with us on the first record. And we'd be listening to the tracks because we had demos of all the songs. And then we went in to record them. LD was like, well, what else do you hear? He was like, open up your mind. Like, what else do you hear in there? And he was always very good about combining sounds and willing to risk something that might be disparate that doesn't normally go there or whatever. You wouldn't normally expect, you know, temple bells in the middle of a blues rocker, and it's like, yeah, but just because you wouldn't expect them doesn't mean that they don't go. It just means you wouldn't expect to hear them there. So I think he helped me, and I recorded a lot of guitar and things for his records as well. And I think that sort of opened my mind up to the idea of like, you know what, if your head is telling you that the piano goes in there, then why wouldn't you? If you can get a piano, why wouldn't you put it? You know, if you're hearing, a mandolin or a sitar or, you know, uh, a flute or a synth solo or what have you, I think in the studio environment now that things are the way they are with recording, like you can record almost unlimited at home, and so that's how we do it. So we, like, what's it going to hurt if you try it and see if it's how it sounds in there?
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah.
exactly.
So it's like, oh, it might be kind of cool. Like, it might be neat to try, you know, and then it's like what anything like a thumb piano, slide guitar part, like I said, a piano. Um, weird. I have Josh and I, our bass player and I, we collect just like if a weird new effect comes out, and be like, do we need this or do we not need this? Like, and some of them are like, you know what, probably not, probably don't need that one. But some of them be like, this one is like, you know, it's more fun for us, I think, a lot of times is to have an effect and use it in a way that you might not expect it to be used, you know,
Yeah.
um, or use it on something that you don't usually use it on, or use an instrument that's uncommon, harmonica, melodica, like you mentioned, sitar, theremin. I've been playing theremin for many years. I'm not good at it, but I have one. I just
I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't know if someone was good at the theremin. So
well, I mean that's my good luck that most people don't know what it means to be a good theremin player.
exactly. So
Sadly, I am aware of people who are actually very good at playing theremin, and that's why I don't say I'm a theremin. I'm a guy who has a theremin. I'm not a theremin player. I'm a guy who owns a theremin and plays it through a fucking half stack because I'm an obnoxious asshole. You
oh
know,
man. So next thing I want to touch on is playing live.
yeah.
I've seen you live, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Hmm.
Each time it's like it's almost an immersive experience. It seems you really get into it. The whole band seems it's almost like a jam, and I love that. Reminds me kind of old school, seeing like a old like classic jam band, but heavy.
Mm. Well, okay.
So what is it like playing live as Thunderbird Divine? And do you have a favorite song to play live?
Um, let's see. Well, first of all, that's a very kind thing to say about that. We do try to make it feel fresh every time we play live, and when you said immersive, that's a good way of putting it because I'm not a young man, and that there's guys older than me that jump around the stage and go crazy the whole time, but that's never really been me, you know. So for me, it's always like, okay, I don't have that like I'm a wild man performer thing. It's just not who I am. It's not honest for me. But what I do have uh, is like my intensity. I buy in. I get in the zone. I focus, and I belt it to the back row. You know, um, and that because that's the only way to do it and have it feel right. Like if you're gonna like get it out of your system, so to speak, get it out of your system. Don't half step, as Big Daddy King used to say, no half stepping. Just
Exactly. No half stepping.
you got to get in there and just really put it down. And my bandmates, they support that. It's good to have. They're good guys, man. They're really supportive. And like basically, there's nothing you can do that's really. There's nothing you can do that's like wrong when you're on stage and you're putting it out there. I mean, you saw me at the last show, right? I did a little thing where we stopped for a minute and I was talking about, how like the crowd was awesome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't practice that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with being like that kind of guy who works a crowd and like, how's everyone doing? It's just not my thing.
Paul
You know,
Stanley or something.
right, right. Well, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that type of thing, but that's not how I function. Like, I have to be in the moment or I'm not alive, right? So, like, if I'm feeling energized and excited because the crowd is energized and excited, I'm gonna say that, you know. I'm gonna talk about how you guys are giving me life and stuff like that. So that's got my biggest strength is that I'm sincere. I mean what I'm saying and I say what I mean when I'm on stage. And there's a small level of improvisation available to me in the songs. but like for like, their songs have a strong structure. I just can play in it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I have a favorite song to play. I like playing all of them. Um, there are some where I know I'm gonna like, some of them, like the first album has like a 12-minute song on it, and we usually end our set with it. It's called "The Devil's Hat Band," and that's kind of like an epic song. It goes on for quite a while, and I'm frequently glad that it's the end of the set because I don't think I could have done it earlier. By the end of it, I like just got done screaming my lungs out, and I played like 30 guitar solos, and like my hands hurt, my back hurts, um, by the end of that song, if it's that's the end of the set, like by the end of that song, if I haven't like gotten everything out of my system, then something's wrong, you know. So I
Yeah.
do and I do enjoy playing that one, but like they all feel pretty good to me. Honestly, I wouldn't want them on a record if they didn't feel good.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So next line of question, and this is what I put everyone on the spot. So
Go for it.
hopefully I don't get too personal with these questions. So you're from Philly. You're a Philly
Cor-
guy, right? Were you born in
Correct.
Philly?
Yes.
Oh, born and raised. So what is the best cheesesteak? Where do I've never been to Philly. I'm going to Philly. Where do I go to get the best cheesesteak?
Okay. First things first, and anyone from Philly will absolutely agree with me. Pretty sure people do argue about cheesesteaks, but I think there's no one in Philly who would tell you to go to Pat's or Geno's.
That's what I've
Okay,
heard. Yes.
those are landmarks and they're famous and all that stuff. But hand to God, they're not the best cheesesteaks. Um, there's a, there's a place in a part of town called Roxborough, Delisandro's. They make their steaks out of prime rib.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean it's just a very good. They make a very good steak. No real steak from Philly has cheese whiz on it. Okay, like don't do that. I mean, I'm not saying they taste bad. I'm just saying like they're not the best steaks in Philly.
Yeah.
Also, any place you go where it says it's called a Philly cheesesteak, that's garbage.
It's just a cheesesteak, right?
If you're in Philly and you get a
Yeah.
cheesesteak, it is a cheesesteak. It is not a Philly cheesesteak. If you go to
It's
like
just
any restaurant,
redundant.
it's absolutely redundant. And I'll tell you what, we have a lot of good restaurants in this town, and there's like there's a steak place in my neighborhood that does a pretty good fucking steak. So like I think it's one of those things where it's like don't fall into the trap of thinking you have to go to Pat's or Geno's because that's
Yeah.
bullshit. That's bullshit. Um, as for the big places, Jim's on South is pretty good. But my recommendation definitely Delisandro's for the
I'll
real
have to keep
deal.
that in mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not near anything. It's not like in Center City. It's not in the middle of town. It's a little bit out in the
Neighborhood
farther.
places. Those are always the best, you know?
No question. No question. Oh, you hit me with the hard hitting personal questions here.
And okay, so next one is what is your favorite band or musician that some people might not expect from you, which that might be hard because you seem like a pretty eclectic
Yeah.
guy. So
I mean, honestly, I think only people who don't know me expect me to say like, like the cliche stuff. I mean, I can tell you stuff that I don't really like that people don't expect.
okay, yeah, why don't we'll go with that? All right.
I mean, because I do like a lot of stuff. Generally speaking, I don't really like metal. I find it a little stupid. Like as I'm sitting here looking at your metal posters on the wall
Yeah.
behind you, I'm like, oh
Well,
shit,
that's
I'm
why I
losing.
like metal because it's kind of stupid sometimes.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't find it. I don't like the chugga chuggas. I don't like that. I don't like the squeeze. So like the chugga squeeze shit. That's what I call it, chugga squeeze. Um, uh, Premier proponent of that whole genre is I guess like Zach Wild's like a chugga squeeze guy.
Yeah, yeah.
There's always like squeeze in his guitar solos. I feel like chuggas are lazy songwriting. I just don't find them very interesting. Um, I've never learned how to do it. I'm not good at it, and I find it like it turns me off to be honest. It's just not interesting to me. So I guess some people would be surprised that I don't really care for that. However, I mean, I like good songs, right? So anyone who writes good songs is going to be, you know, so, you know, I like this sort of alt country chick. She's my age. She's in her 50s now. Nico Case. She's
Okay.
amazing.
I
Yeah,
think
she
I've heard
does.
that name before.
Yeah, she's got this. She sounds like Patsy Cline. Incredible voice. Um, you know, I like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I like Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah, Teddy Pendergrass. Yeah.
We covered a Barry White song for a single last year or the year before. Um, so I mean, I don't think I don't think anyone would be surprised if I said like, oh, I like the psychedelic furs. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, but for example, like metal, like chugga chugga metal doesn't really do it for me. Um, Trying to think, I'm a critical listener, right? So what really gets me is like a song that's put together well, more than anything. So if that comes from Van Morrison, or if it comes from the band, or if it comes from Bob Seger, or if it comes from War, or it comes from uh, any basically anybody, Roger and Zapp, any of those things are gonna, any of those things are gonna turn me on, and that crosses all boundaries and all genres. I can find something well done in most things. It's just
Oh,
sometimes,
definitely.
yeah. So, I don't think there's probably anything that would surprise anyone. Like, and I like Prince, I like Joni Mitchell. Uh, throw something at throw something at me, I probably like it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I think almost any genre, if something's done well, I can usually find some, something I like about it. Like you said, I'm the same thing. The older I get, I think, the more I become liking songs. When I was a kid, I was really impressed with who could play the fastest and the most and who could scream the loudest. And
Yeah,
then when I get older, I'm like, I just want to hear a good fucking song.
yeah. I think it's just like ultimately like I want something satisfying. Where like the shit lands and it hits you right in the heart. Like
Yeah.
whether it's a lyric or a riff that makes you make the face, um, or if you know, it's just funky and makes you want to wiggle your ass. Like any of those things. Um, like I said, all of those things appeal to me. There's something awesome about anything that's done well, and considering how much stuff is out there, you kind of have to sift through to find the things that are good or that really turn you on. So I mean,
Yeah, it's
that's
funny you say like a lyric because I was listening to like I said, I've been listening to a lot of Gil Scott Heron,
mm,
and he's got this song called "Is That Jazz?" And the
mm.
last lyric in the song is it goes, "Millions of sounds pick me up when I'm down and let me salvage a piece of myself." I just thought that's the most beautiful way to like talk about music. And anyone who's into music can relate to that statement, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I read somewhere it said if paintings and artwork are how we decorate our spaces, music is how we decorate our time.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
that
and
that that's a great quote. Yeah.
and yeah, and it's like part of the thing that like appeals to me about like the sort of genre of stoner rock or what have you. It's almost like a beat phrase. It's like almost a cliche to call it that anymore. But like some people who are like really good at doing it feels amazing. Like I I was told recently that I guess I have synesthesia, which is where um I can see music, I can like
Oh,
taste
yeah,
the
yeah. I've heard
taste
of that.
colors.
Yeah.
So some things do give me that. Some things are, when I say they're satisfying, it's like having a good meal, like, or looking at a picture that's really appealing. Like I can definitely listen to some bands that are like, for example, and it's really not even like my kind of shit. Electric Wizard.
Yes.
Okay, for a lot of people are like, fucking Wizard. Dude, it goes on forever. It never ends. It's super drony. And I'm like, yes, it's magic. Like you're listening to it and you just I'm not a big stoner personally. Like I don't like to smoke. I don't like to drink. I don't like to be high. It doesn't appeal to me that much. I mean, I've been high and stuff. It's not a thing I need to do on a regular basis. It's not that appealing to me. But I do like that if you listen to Electric Wizard, for example, and they have like, these 12, 13-minute songs, and it just goes, it's the same riff over and it's magic because you're like, how come I'm still listening to the same riff over and over again?
Like
And,
hypnotic, you know?
yeah, it puts you in a trance. They're aptly named because it is wizardry. It's a form of sorcery. Similar token, if you listen to Sleep, right?
Yep.
The whole Dope Smoker record, you put that on, and it's just like this guitar intro that goes for like 6 minutes, and it's basically the same chord over and over again, and a few variations. After about 2 or 3 minutes of it, you go like, "Is it skipping? Is it is this repeating?" I think no. I think that's new. I don't know. And then you're just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I don't. And if that isn't the most accurate description to me of being fucking high without being high, I don't know what is. So like that's kind of like, you know, like I said, and so anything that can give you that gives me that, an experience within the music, like, you can kind of you can absorb, and anyone can do it. Someone who's a good storyteller, like Bruce Springsteen, can do it. Um, the Stereophonics can do it, telling a story, and like it's all, Slick Rick could do it, telling a story. Snoop Dogg could do it, telling the story. It's all about just having some X factor of the thing that can pull a person in. I think a lot of artists spend most of their life trying to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because music is one of those things that it stays with us. It's one of those things like you can not hear a song for 20 years, but you hear it and all of a sudden you still remember all the lyrics, you know? And
Or it's
I've seen that. I mean, I take care of a gentleman. He's like 92. I do home health care for a living.
mm,
And he played harmonica for God, he grew up since he was a little kid. He probably played it for 80 something years. And he did it professionally. He played at like the president's inauguration and stuff.
wow.
And he's got like dementia now, but his son comes over and plays guitar and you hand him harmonica and he can play right along.
Hmm.
It's amazing, you know? So
Well,
things you never lose.
it transports you, right?
Yeah.
Like if you, I know you, especially. At least I think a lot of guys have this thing. You remember what you were hearing when you were doing X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Like I remember, being in school, cutting class, and there's a little boombox next to me. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a warm day, and "Going to California" by Led Zeppelin comes on the radio, and I can still see in my mind's eye, I can still see beam of sunlight landing on the desk in front of me and the dust in the sunbeam, and hearing that song. That's always going to be a memory for me. That's in there. It's locked in.
Yeah.
And like, why wouldn't you want to be part of that? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Why? I don't have the ego to think that anything I've ever done or ever will do will be a thing that triggers somebody like that. But you can live in hope that maybe like you'll create something that people listen to and it becomes part of their musical biography.
Well, and it does. I mean, there's so many, most of the bands I listen to are bands that are, maybe have a run of 100 of maybe 500 records or something like that. And they do have a huge impact on my life, and make my life better because, life can suck sometimes. And I have a job that's pretty heavy, I do hospice care as well. So when I can come home and put on like, an album like that, Little Wars, and just forget about it, It really does make a difference to people. So thank you.
Oh, I mean, that is, I mean, part of creating that kind of art is selfish, like any kind of art, because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
important and here's the thing I'm doing. So and you need to hear it because I'm a genius, you know. And so part of it is that you're putting it out there because you think you're important on some level, but the other part of it is you put it out there in the hopes to some degree that someone else will hear it and like feel like hear it and go, yes, I feel this way too, you know. And we have our little circle of guys who wear a lot of black and have beards, and like, yes, I have felt that way, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I like about the community of that surrounds the sort of like rock and stoner rock and metal community. It's one of the things that I really appreciate it about it is that we do listen to each other's music. You
Yeah.
know, we listen to each other's music. We wear each other's t-shirts. We tell other people about our friends' bands and the bands that we like, and that generally speaking, we all. I don't think it's competitive. I don't feel like the other bands that we know um are trying to take an opportunity that like we could potentially get. Like they're not. It's not like pop music where we're trying to fight to be on the charts. We have a nice community. I mean, I know, for example, Dwayne from More in the Light invited
Yeah.
us to play the show that you saw us at, right? He
Yeah.
didn't have to
Dwayne's
do
a
that.
super good guy.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do that. He did it because he wanted to, because he's a nice guy and he likes music and he wants to put on good shows. And it was like, yeah, I'd be glad to come up and play. Like, what a incredibly sweet gesture to invite us to play. Like, he could have asked anybody to play, but he was like, I'll invite those guys. But that is more representative of the community than not representative of the community. Of people being embracing and sort of kind to each other. What
Yeah,
was the
almost
question?
everyone I've ran into
Mm-hmm.
and I've talked to or tried to get an interview with has been super nice and just super excited. I mean, I have a small little show and stuff, but everyone's been super nice and supportive and respectful. And I've had one guy maybe that wasn't that good and responsive, but yeah, not everyone's nice. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, you can't. There's no such thing as like a perfect situation, right? But
Yeah.
however, there are a lot of for me, in my experience as well, I think I've encountered more good people than not good people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, more kind people, more focused and alert and present, people. So it's, like I said, I love the community. I take every chance I can to remind people how lucky we are to have, good family out there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next question I have is
Yeah.
another get a little personal. Your
Mhm.
favorite TV show as a kid?
How much of a kid are we talking about?
Let's say 10, 11.
Oh, okay. Probably when I was 10 or 11, I probably really liked Ultraman.
Okay. That was
Yeah.
like a Japanese, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm a little older than you are, so like I would come home from school and um Ultraman came on in the afternoons and I hated to miss it. I couldn't tell you one episode of Ultraman now, but like I know I really loved it back then when I was a kid. I was super into it.
I was a Ninja Turtles kid when I was younger, so
Yeah, there you go. You're like I said, I'm older. So
yeah, a little bit older, huh? All
yeah.
right, next. So this is an important question.
Okay.
Um, Ketchup on a hot dog, yes or no?
I mean, who am I to yuck somebody's yum, right? Like if you like ketchup on your hot dog, man, fucking go to town. How good is the hot dog is the question. I'm not
Yeah,
fucking, if we're talking about like a really good hot dog, that's been grilled and the skin's got the snap. For me,
yeah.
For me, I need that on a good roll, and I want like a good like horseradishy mustard on it. You know, if it's a you know quick and dirty microwave or dirty metal dog, the ones that spin on the things, or a dirty water dog,
Yeah,
you could throw whatever on that. It's fine. Like you know what I mean. Like there's no rules as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, yeah. I mean everything's got its place, and I'm in no position to tell anybody like not to put you know ketchup on your hot dog if that's your thing.
I know in Chicago they like hate that. You'll get like kicked out of the city if you do that. I think in Chicago, that's like a
Well,
no-no. But they'll put a whole
yeah,
salad on a hot dog there, so you know.
yeah. I mean, again, you know, you don't want to go by anybody's regional decisions or choices for when it comes to foods, um, because there's some weird ones out there.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so next, what's next for Thunderbird Divine? Any more live shows coming up? Anything
Oh
recording
yeah,
in the
we're
studio?
always yeah. So we're always kind of staying busy. We're in the process. So Little Wars came out at the end of August 30th. So we're still kind of on that album cycle right now. So we're out playing shows to promote the record, and yeah, we in our next couple months we have a bunch of shows set up in the general sort of like mid east, mid Atlantic area for now. And then come the summer, I know we're going to be doing the Maryland Doom Fest, which we've been doing
Nice.
regularly for the past couple of years, which is always a joy for me. But it's just a great, like again, it's the community, and then you get to see people you haven't seen since last year. So
Yeah,
you get to see your friends who come in from far away that you don't get to see often, and a bunch of great bands, and like it's just the celebration of that community, which I love. Um, so we're doing that this summer, and there's just like a bunch of different sort of we sit in a weird place musically, right? So, for example, we have last summer we played. There's a big cemetery here in Philadelphia, Laurel Hill Cemetery, which like I don't know, 75,000 people are buried there. Yeah, like what's her name? Grace Kelly's buried there. A lot
okay.
of famous people are buried there. I think some of the Barrymores are buried. It's an old cemetery, and every year they do a hearse show. And last year we played the hearse show at the cemetery, which was super fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun, and then we played a tattoo parlors like outdoor fest. They had a little festival in their sort of area. We played one of those. We went up and played a music fest out in the middle of Pennsylvania. That was super fun. It was their first year they ever did that. Um, so we have some other things like that kind of sort of in the pipeline. Um, and of course, we're still always keeping busy with our writing. We're probably about 4 or 5 songs deep on the next record already.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, you can't stop. Like we got, so like yeah, we're probably gonna be ready to record the next full length in October. We're looking at being able to record it. So probably the way duplication and everything with record labels go. If we start recording in October, we'll probably be finished with the recording and everything by like January, just because like that's our process. And then see if it feels like putting it out for us, you know. So it's cool though. We stay busy. We have schedules. We have plans. We have goals we try to meet as a band. It's so. And what else is next for us? No, I think we're just gonna keep trying to be like the best band we can be in terms of writing the best stuff we can write, um, challenging ourselves with things that we haven't done before, making continue to make records that maybe people wouldn't expect us to make, um, and yeah, just keep rolling. I think my biggest thing is you know I say this a lot. I really enjoy my bandmates. I really enjoy those guys. I enjoy being with them. I enjoy hanging out with them. There's got to be something very, very good for you, just like every week to go into a rehearsal space and ostensibly work on music, but also like laugh your asses off, you know, like, so it's kind of all of those things. We're going to keep all those things on and continue along those lines. That's our goal.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
Now, before I wrap up the interview, where can we find Thunderbird Divine's music and merch and stuff like that? Say someone wants to get the record, the t-shirt, where do we go?
Okay, so we have a Big Cartel page. So if you go on Big Cartel and search Thunderbird Divine, you'll find our record and a bunch of our merch, t-shirts and what have you, t-shirts and records and what have you. And then if you want to buy music, you can find us on Bandcamp. If you want to buy vinyl and stuff like that, you can, and hear our stuff immediately. You can go on Bandcamp to search for us on Bandcamp. And then we're also on all of the other streaming services, Amazon, iTunes, etc., etc. You can find us. If you just do a search for Thunderbird Divine on your Google machine, you will encounter all kinds of wonderful ways to become swaddled in our garbage.
Nice. All right. Well, Eric, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun talking to you. And I really hope everyone goes out there and buys your records, buys your merch. So for everyone, this has been Ossont&Battery. I'm Aaron Ossont. Remember, go out there, support local music. Go out there, buy Thunderbird Divine's record, buy their merch. You won't be disappointed. See you next time.
See ya.
Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com, and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing. Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing, or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases, or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza Donisi. Pizza Donisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, the sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street. So either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken, fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge live showcases and is an integral stop in the Ultimate Underground Metal Tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza Donisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays located right next to Pizza Donisi at 1398 South 2nd Street. Open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. For 45 years in keeping Louisville weird, Electric Ladyland has been there for all your eccentricities. While they do offer the best smoking supplies out on the market today, there's a whole lot more to check out. From ashtrays and blacklight posters, to records, incense and burners, and items to stock your metaphysical supply. They're open from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Located at 2325 Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and at electricladyland420.com. Roll out.